Welcome to Overeducated and Underemployed. I'm Feddun. We're here with part 2 of my interview with J Roddy Walston to wrap up our first week here of the podcast. We talked a lot about what he's trying to accomplish now, and one thing I want to point out is he's touring, he's doing shows with his band right now, but he's also throwing these pre-parties beforehand, typically hosted at a bar or occasionally somebody's house. So if you're planning to go see him, make sure you check out whatever pre-party he's got planned, because he's still, even when he's playing clubs with the band, he's still trying to do this thing where he's really fostering connections with his fans and trying to build community among his fan base. I highly encourage you to check it out. I might be heading to Chattanooga to go see him next week. I'm going to be seeing Wilco this weekend, so I'm excited about that. I'll be telling you all about that next week. Without further ado, here's the second part of my interview with J Roddy Walston. Your priorities are a lot different than they were a decade ago, too, right? Your father, you've got other people that rely on you to do things that, whereas, like, for a long time, you were just doing it for you, and that's all you had to take care of. And as somebody who was also a parent, like, it changes things a lot.
Yeah.
And
I think on one hand, like, being a parent does change everything. But, like, in a lot of ways, it's hard for me to remember a time before my kids were born. Or, like, I placed them in the memory. It's like when my daughter was there when I was 8 or something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm still human and entirely self-obsessed and selfish and whatever. And so I'm here to do everything I can for my kids. And definitely it's changed my headspace of, like, how long do I want to be out. My wife's also a musician, so we also very much in the DNA of our relationship was being apart. You know, can only take so much of each other.
An opposite. Yeah.
And inevitably early on, it'd be like, oh, I'm gone for 6 months. I'm back these 2 weeks. And she's like, I got a gig those 2 weeks. And you're like, oh my gosh. I really processed it a lot. Okay, I'm just like a sailor. I'm just like old, like I'm on a wooden boat just bopping from place to place, and every once in a while I come back and I go, man, it was a bad year. Sorry. Go back out. And fun way to live till it's not, or till, I think that was even something I was seeing, like, that it had exploded. A lot of my friends who also were either bandmates or whatever, buddies on tour, I was like, man, like, I'm keeping it together for the most part, but by way of inviting other people in to do it, like, I'm, like, actively destroying them or something.
The road destroys people.
Yeah, it's crazy. And some people it's 6 months, and some people it's 10 years.
You know when your limit has been reached.
One of the main qualities for any human that I look for, I meet so few people that actually can and will change. I think the ability to actually actively change is
one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah, superhero level. Find out new information, think about it, go, I was wrong, now I change. And
it is rare.
I'm not the best at it, but I have some sliver of that ability. I do think it takes us, it's not just information, probably. It's like information and pain. Like, somewhere in there is the sweet spot where you're like, oh, I can just, like, I get Steven Seagal just gently pushing my energy a different direction. And sometimes it's, oh man, I ran into that brick wall and turned to dust, and I have to rebuild the whole thing. So I'm not like an expert at it. It's like I find out after the fact.
But you try to learn from it and integrate that information.
People, I would never wish COVID to happen. But I can say that a lot of things currently in my life that are positive came out of it.
I think for me personally, like, that was one of the times where I did change a lot and was really reflective and was able to admit what I was wrong about. And I think that was true for a lot of people. Really, like, when everything gets shut off.
Yeah.
And you're just stuck with yourself.
Yeah.
Man, a lot of people don't get better until they're tired of their own shit. And when you can't put that shit on other people, get tired of it a lot quicker.
I travel around, have the same party 30 times. It's a lot less sad than if you try to have that same party in your house 10 days in a row. No.
Starts to smell bad.
Yeah, this sucks. But, yeah, the COVID thing just really, I know a lot of relationships didn't make it. It was definitely, like, wild to process my relationship with my kid. I now have 2, but at the time it was just the one. And then relationship with my wife. Discovered meditation in a real way then, and was able to tie it back to, like, why do I feel, like, for me, I've described it for a long time without knowing what it was, that, like, the best shows are ones, I know that I had a good show, I walk off stage and I, like, already basically can't remember the show because it was just happening.
Truly present.
Yeah. Just whatever was happening, and not that I didn't make mistakes or do something bad.
I feel like you had a moment like that last night. It was in The Wanting.
Yeah.
You were like, afterward, you were like, I was so lost in it that I don't
lost
even know if I played the right chords.
Yeah, I know after the fact I stumbled through some chords, but it was like one of the first times I've really felt the weight of the song in the way I did kind of initially writing it.
And I think that came through. The room was electrified by it. And I think that's why.
Yeah.
I think you being present in that way, and anytime an artist can get to that place where they're just there, that's the goal, right?
I mean,
and to get the audience there too.
This is what I was getting at. Is all of a sudden I'm not hitting that maybe 100 times, 200 times a year of like a sort of zen kind of state. Didn't know that's what it was. Just night to night was like good show, bad show, whatever, or good parts of a show, bad or whatever. Like the whole time you're just in your brain, and that's why I can barely remember the show instantly. The bad shows is I could tell you every second of it because I was going like I should walk over here. Maybe I should say something. Maybe like what's the next chord, whatever, and just getting out of front of myself 2 or 3 seconds and planning what I was gonna do or something like that, and it just sucks. Not really realizing that it's a lot of the same thing with meditation. You start to see the thoughts come in, and it's not that the thoughts are bad. You just go like, all right, let me come back to just observing it, being here.
And so when that stops happening as much, that's a sign for you. That
Realize that it was just naturally taking me to a place where my brain went from splintered 100 different ways at any given time to pulled together, and body, mind, everything. It's weird to describe one of those shows as calm, but instead of, like I said,
the lack of chaos.
Did I pay that bill? Like bad moments in shows, I'm literally like having 17 conversations in my head at the same time where I messed up last night on this part. Why is that guy over there looking like he's sniffing a fart? Like, why isn't this person dancing? Oh, I wonder how the wife and kids are doing. Like, all that going on. I think at a given moment, if you could broadcast that to people, they'd be like, how the hell is this guy? And on top of that, I don't actually know anything about music. So, like, every time I hit the right chord, it's like, yes.
That's going to be good for the confidence.
Yeah.
Though. Well, you obviously also use humor, like just talking to you, spending time with you, and reading other interviews. You're a funny motherfucker. You obviously... Humor is part of your coping with the world. And I think you write some really funny lyrics too. Is that intentional? Or do you ever write something and you're like, I want this to be funny? Or does it just come out that way?
I don't know if I've ever written anything and gone, people are going to chuckle and fall on the ground or something.
Mm-hmm.
But
maybe clever is a better word.
Yeah. People like Randy Newman or John Prine, or I was talking about my buddy Johnny Fritz.
Yeah, Johnny Corndog.
These people that inside of humor... I think is a lot of the same stuff that good songwriting comes from, where you're like observing stuff. You can say it plainly, and sometimes that's powerful, and then sometimes you can say it in a humorous way. Or growing up in church, it would be like my favorite people were the people that like a lot of times got discounted because they were clever and funny. They could kind of do it a lot in a solo show where it's like, tell a stupid story and then drop a heavy song. So everybody's giggling, and then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, what? And I guess it's dynamics. I don't know, but you have... But it wasn't just that it was if this guy takes himself really serious, for whatever reason, everyone else assumes he's serious and smart. Maybe they're ineffective at actually doing anything. Whereas to me, the people that can like tell a joke, and inside the joke, right after the joke, there's like also this serious nugget. You're more open, you're more available.
The best jokes come from like the most uncomfortable places. If I'm being honest about something that I'm maybe not even wanting to share with people.
Yeah.
Finding a way to share that in a way that I'm ultimately comfortable with, those are usually the best jokes. And probably the best songs too, I would think. Like where it's like you're like hesitant to put these ideas out there.
Do you know that concept of that laughter is like an inch off the mark of a fear response? What are we afraid of? Things that either we don't know or we weren't expecting. But then we're humans, and what are we talking about? We're talking about ourselves. So the idea of either you're talking about something someone thought no one else had ever gone through, so they're surprised by the fact that you know about them in a way that they have never shared, or you literally are holding up a mirror in a way that it's like the first time someone sees their ass or something. Also, like, people, if you miss the mark, you are actually scaring them. And then when they get scared, it's like anger or let's fight. or I run away. You're right on the edge of like doing something that changes the whole situation. Also, I just think the idea of I'm never on stage with banter being like, this will be funny, I will make someone laugh. I think the idea that someone gets up and goes, I know what's funny, I'll say it, and then people will laugh is like the wildest, scariest thing that anyone can try to do. I know it's sad, and then people can either be like, this guy's playing to the crowd, or I don't relate, or whatever. But
Yeah.
to get up and be like, this is funny, and then someone go, no, it's not.
Neil Brennan describes it as putting yourself through a car accident every night.
Yeah.
Doing stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever wanted to do stand-up comedy? Like, is that ever something that ever crossed your mind?
When I was young, it was basically like music, outdoor stuff, and comedy. So me and my buds did like bits early on, like VHS or whatever camcorder stuff we had. We'd write ridiculous things and, I don't know, make a right turn instead of a left turn, butterfly effect stuff. Like, could have chased that down, or was like obsessed with Saturday Night Live and all that kind of stuff. So somewhere in the same fantasy, I want to play music, possibly was like, oh, I'd love to be on Saturday Night Live. Never having actually ever done that stuff. I don't know if I have the skill set to do that thing where you like actually sit down and I'm good in a conversation at being shocking or surprising or silly or funny or witty or whatever. I feel like that's a different skill than, say, I'm good at observing things.
Yeah.
But I don't know if my processor is built to turn them totally into jokes.
I think the way it worked for me, most of my jokes do come up conversationally.
Yeah.
The trick and the struggle is like, remembering that joke, writing it down, preserving that moment, but then figuring out how to get there. That's like organically on stage. And sometimes you can't. Sometimes that joke will only exist in that moment, and that's fine too. I do think there is this similar drive between musicians and comedians, and maybe that's what the core of this podcast is going to end up being about in general. Is I think most comedians want to be rock stars.
Yeah.
I think most really good songwriters are pretty fucking funny.
Yeah.
And I think you're right, like the observational, and not even just being an observation, like observing yourself too, not just the outside, but there's something it's the same fire. And as someone who felt like they belonged in this world for years and years and never, I can't play guitar, I can't sing more than like a couple of karaoke songs.
Yeah.
But I always felt like this is where I belong. And I think that's what happens with comedians is like they like feel like they don't belong anywhere except this one place that they don't even necessarily have talent.
Yeah.
And then they go crazy. And then they start making jokes about it. And I also think comedians and bands are hanging out. They're cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, I think it's potentially very similar, or it is the same people. Maybe somebody who just gets their kicks punishing themselves a different way.
Songwriters can't sing, and that never stopped them.
Some comedians are not funny, and they are very successful.
That actually brings me, and I know you got to get on the road here, so we're going to wrap this up here in a minute, but I think the thing that's unique about comedy that is maybe not true for any other kind of art is it's just a hair off of fear. It's an involuntary response. So I don't think Jeff Dunham is funny.
Right.
Like, he makes rooms of people laugh. And there's something about that is objective in a way that I don't know any other art can be. Like, I'm interested to see what you think about that.
I do like this thing that I'm doing, the house show thing. On paper, there's another thing that I do that, or if you took a picture of it, looked at the gear I brought, the situation, the whole thing, you'd be like, those are the same thing. But for a chunk of money, I will play a private show. And the private show, I don't care if it's you, I don't care if it's you and 100 of your friends. At a certain point, the price will change because I can bring this and it's loud enough for 50 to 100 people. Like, oh, I'm going to have a 5,000 person party or something. It'd be like, okay, we got to talk about bigger production stuff or whatever. Yeah. But generally, it would look the same to an outside person. But in one of those scenarios, I'm playing to one person and 49 of their friends are watching that person watch me. So when I walk out on stage or I sing this song or that or make a statement, this guy is going, I can't believe this. I'm looking at their friends, and their friends are like, if he's, I can't believe this. And they're like, we can, or whatever. Right. I walk into a room of 50 fans that also have seen me multiple times in a 2,000 seater or whatever. And they're like, I can't believe, all 50 people going, I can't believe this. It turns everything I say into something funny or clever or reactive versus, I guess my point is, I don't know necessarily why certain people get over some hump and then they have this thing where like their people show up and then potentially that can feed into more and more of their people showing up. But once someone has said, I like this, it's like they want to like it. So it makes, you sit there just hoping that your favorite musician says something that you can go, woo, or laugh at, or go, oh my God. Versus even in a scenario of music lovers, if you're the opener, you don't have the same power as the headliner. And I'm sure it's the same with comedians or whatever, where it's no one's trying to like what you do, or no one's trying to laugh at what you say. And all of a sudden, I think that is probably where some of these guys are like, they hit some level of success and they don't really have to say funny stuff anymore. They just have to be themselves. And people want to like it. They want to enjoy it. And
that's interesting.
I live in this world where I'm constantly either the most important person in the room to someone. People think I'm literally, like we were just talking about the replacements. I'm like, I played, J Roddy Business played the last 3 replacement shows. Finally, after the last show, I was like, I'm going to go talk to these guys, tell them how important they were, and thank them for being on stage. And when I walked up, I was like, hey guys, and they were like, we're good. Like, they thought I was a backstage hand, even though we played 3 shows. All my buddies are like, I can't believe it, you're so lucky, and freaking out. Whatever. This wasn't like, they didn't pluck us out of obscurity. We were doing really well at that time.
Right, yeah.
So, but had been walking around, crowd being like, holy crap, blah, blah, blah. And then just be like, no, we're good, man.
It's humbling. That's the kind of shit that brings you back down to earth at the same time.
I've been rejected by a lot of my heroes.
Are you still booking these shows? Or if people want you to come play in their living room, can they reach out?
This has been like, I was talking about last night, it's been an experiment, and I think there's like a lot of people, like when I said I would do house shows, I got a lot of replies. But it was through social media, and I was like, a guy that was here last night was like, yeah, I was talking to you about a bunch, and then it fell off, and I was like, dude, that's one of the main things I got to figure out is like the communication not being through social media, because I'm chatting with you, and then all of a sudden I post something and it gets like 1,700 likes, and all of a sudden our chat is buried. The moment with you where it was like, okay, boom, let's build the ticket thing, whatever. That's what, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, brass tacks, let's like get all the info, and then for real, let's say a number. How many people are you comfortable having in your house? And I'm sure we had talked about it early on, and it was like, yeah, so I'm shooting for 50, and they're like, oh, my wife would kill me if there was more than 10 people here. It's like, dude,
what are we doing
for so long about this, and so there.
I will say there was this moment when we got to that final stage, where there was like a little, I don't want to say hesitation, but it was like, okay, this is becoming real.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people fantasize about the idea of having somebody play in their living room. And then when it becomes real, they're like, oh shit, can I actually do this?
And it's so different night to night. You know, I mean, you saw, I got here late last night, so I had to blast through that setup. I don't really have anything to plug. But the thing that I'm experimenting with or trying to mess with is beyond the sort of, I want to do something different. I'm trying to keep myself engaged. And I don't know if entertained is the right way to put it, but if you play the same show and like, maybe, let's say there's 20 variations of any given kind of setup at a club, but you've also played every club in America like 50 times. It's sad, but you can get to the point where you're just going through the motions, or like on a Tuesday night.
It's a job.
It is at a house, but like every house has been something that was different. You're split into a V, and then I'm in the corner versus some shotgun house. Only enough space for one person, like right here, and so half the show I'm gonna be looking at one guy, and half the crowd is actually looking at my ass the whole time, or whatever. And so it's a whole different. And then where do I even position the speakers? Like it's all, let alone like time to do this show. There's the thing that's just for me. Okay, this is making it exciting every time. On top of that, a lot of what I'm interested in is what we were talking about earlier, not on the podcast, about the thing that I observed and initially didn't appreciate, in fact was annoyed by the drive-by trucker shows, where it's this crowd just talks so much. Maybe in a 2-hour set, any given person will shut up for 3 songs because those are their songs. They'll be talking and you can observe, you're like, oh, I love that line. But I just didn't really appreciate, I never thought it was necessarily a part of my, I don't know if job is the right way to put it, but like the community building thing was not on my radar in any real way.
Yeah.
Here's what I do. I write these songs that really matter to me. Hopefully they matter to you. And then I want to put on or be a part of a show where everyone's entranced and you have to shut up. And if anyone's not shutting up and if anyone's not dancing or fully in, what are we not doing?
Yeah.
And then people maybe buy the merch and then they walk out of the building and then they hopefully talk to their friends about how to go back to the truckers thing. Like, truckers like bat signal for, are you 40 and drink IPA? Show up here and your people will be here or something.
Yeah. I almost described it as, it's like what some religions wish they had, like this imagined community of people that they know they're going to get along with.
With that, like, churches are falling apart. So I don't really want to get into argument about whether or not there should be churches, but like, we are more and more separated, and then we are going through this thing of the internet making people think like they are connected, but they're not. Not that the internet can't bring you or connect you to people, like in a way it can, but the general way that most people are using the internet is not making them closer to anyone.
Yeah.
And so that was a big part of this. There was people that kind of kept hitting me up, being like, I can just get you in this club. I want you to come to my town. Why don't you play here? We can get 400 people in it. What I'm trying to do right now is personally interact with people, find out some stuff, observe people, and in my own mind try to figure out because I don't know that I have that thing where I know it's way reductive to be like, are you 40 in IPA? And
No, but we understand
what
you mean.
I have
sure.
that. I've never had that thing where everyone who walked into one of my shows is like, oh, this is all the same people.
I will say though, one of the things that first attracted me to your band was like the people that love your band. Like you have fans that fucking love your music, and to me, that's a really good marker of somebody who's doing shit right.
I think there's something. That's what I'm getting at is that I don't know if there's a single thing, but I want people in that room who maybe have been in the same room to see me 20 times to finally look to their left and their right and go, hey, my name's Greg, blah, blah, blah.
I made a bunch of friends last night. I met people that had never been to my house before, and now they'll be back. I'll be fucking with those people.
I went out with my buddies, Murder by Death, and I walked around. I literally took no merch out. It was the first real run of shows I'd done post my breakdown of I don't know what I want to do anymore. But part of that thing I was still going through, you know what, merch sucks. I'm not doing merch anymore. I'd play, I'd grab my stuff, and then I was just walking around, and I gabbed with a lot of people, and there were people there that were like, I care what this band does, but I actually don't care. I will always be at all their shows. I'll buy all their stuff. I'll do whatever it takes to support them because I met this person, I met this person. We don't live in the same state, but these are my people, and I met them.
That's why I go to Athens every year, man, because these are all people that, like, it's their pilgrimage, right?
This was in a cave.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to see them in August in the caverns, man. I'm excited.
It's incredible. They let me sleep there that night. There was like a movie afterwards, and then they locked up, and I slept.
Their shows are special, but a big part of why we all go there is to see each other.
We bought the room. Like, we are the promoter. We went all in, and it's like big. It's expensive to buy the place. And I was like, so do you know where everybody's coming from? Because it's kind of in the middle. It's near Nashville, but not totally. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, how many people live near this cave? And he's like, oh, it's 90% people flying in from out of state. And so that crowd was very much, so it was that sort of.
I've dreamed of seeing a show there, man.
Yeah, it's a really special place, and it's really cool. Yeah. And all that really, what I was getting at is like that particular conversation just really hit me where I was just like, man, I don't even know if people, I don't know if there's someone who's, I'll always love what Rod does because I met my wife at a show or whatever. When I go back now, I can think of times where people were like, our first date was at your show or something, or we said let's go on a date, and then I suggested the show, and she was a big fan, and he was a big fan, and that's when we knew. But I never really processed as, so I'm important to you because of this. Not in a way, I'm not sitting there, I'm hoping people show up and tell me the story of how important I am to them. Right. It's more, what can I do to like
create those connections?
Yeah, like really, because
or foster them.
I'm a strange cat, and I have lots of acquaintances, and I have a few friends, you know? But when I find people I connect with, I'm just like, whatever it takes, I'll murder for you or whatever. So the idea of potentially creating a moment where someone being next, literally this idea of, like the first night of the first house show, I walked by and the person was like talking to someone else. Oh, I always see you at the Christmas show. I was like, oh yeah. Like, we get a party bus. Let me get your number. You can be on the party bus. And this is exactly what I wanted to happen.
I told you earlier today, this made me love my house more.
Yeah, that's cool.
And
this house sucks, dude.
It does. It's like go to the back to the truckers and something they did recently to keep things fresh. And I think because it's almost like the other side of what you're talking about. They're a band that never plays with a set list. I've seen them over 100 times. They've never played the same show until they did the Southern Rock Opera tour. And I saw that tour 4 times. Yeah. That was the first time I've ever seen them play the same show more than once. And that was new.
Yeah.
But then now that they're not doing it anymore, the rest of their catalog, it's like they're in love with it again.
Yeah.
And this ties back to the thing I was talking about on an episode that you haven't heard yet, about these reunion tours and these nostalgia, Flaming Lips doing Yoshimi, Truckers doing Southern Rock Opera, Bright Eyes is on tour right now. Yeah. These people are actually revisiting a lot of what you're talking about. Like, somebody met at one of your shows, they go back to your show, and it's like memory. People go to see Bright Eyes because they fell in love to that band in college or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I think like you're hitting the nail on the head. First of all, I think if your goal is to do that, then you're accomplishing that.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Thank you.
But also, I just think it's interesting how different artists do different, like completely different things. Set list, no set list, or whatever. Yeah. And then also, okay, we're going to go play this album that we've never played all the way through in 20 years. Or I'm going to go play it. I haven't done solo shows in 20 years. I'm going to go do house shows, and I'm going to really foster these connections. And I think both of them are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
In different ways. But you're building something that isn't necessarily tangible.
Like, for me, there's also this thing. Someone will be like, oh, you did this and you did this and now you're doing this and now you're doing this. And I'm not zooming out and looking at my life in some sort of like, how do I tell the story? I'm in the middle of it. So the high points, the low points, the whatever, that's just that Thursday, that 1 week, that 1 year. I don't have this like observational measurement, whatever. Like, this is no different than playing some festival, than getting some, even in the course of like, why did that one record work? It's like, there's no reason that record worked. Like, to me, I was never shooting lower. And there was definitely, like last night, people were asking for songs I wrote when I was 19. I'm 44. But also I played the song I wrote last week. And it's like, I can't tell you why anything works. And that's not my job. My job is to look at it and then talk about it. And sometimes the talking about it is obscuring it in a way that someone has to dig so hard that they figure out something out about themselves, and sometimes it's just saying it plainly. I think we've lost a lot in the sense of the difference between what an artist is here for and our obsession with easy sugar. Just like, let's get entertained.
Yeah, and give me my dopamine fix, my flavor of the week.
And I like to be entertained. Last night we numbed out and watched a big dumb movie. There's times where I want that. That's not the same as an artist actually doing something or changing my life. So
that's almost like a recharge in a way.
And in the same way that I don't think you should be entertained all the time, I don't think you can get your life changed by art every 5 seconds.
If that happens, you're just consuming shit all the time. Yeah. Anyway. Or like looking for answers when your life is happening to you.
Yeah. And some of that, it's literally like, I thought I was going to be in New Orleans writing and recording for the last 3 days, but instead I was living in a way that it's like, what the hell just happened to me?
New Orleans is like that, though.
Yeah. And so... anyways, yeah, I guess you were like, do you have anything to plug? And it was just more whether, not necessarily my shows or the idea of doing more house shows, or I'm also playing club shows with the band and whatever. What I was getting at is, I guess I'm just like wanting people to connect. I don't really know how to plug that other than put your phone down and find a situation where maybe it's not weird to actually, like that thing of going out to a bar to be alone is uninteresting to me now. This scenario, something like this house show, it seems like it's so different that all those rules are
gone.
Suspended.
Yeah, no, it's so weird because just as someone who goes to a bunch of shows, talking to straight, like we're there for the same reason. We obviously both love this band.
Yeah. You have something in common.
But still starting a conversation with those people is weird.
Hey man, don't go over there. There's a weirdo that's talking to everybody or something.
Yeah. Whereas like last night, it would have been fucking weird if we didn't talk to each other. Like it would have been like, it's like the opposite.
You were like, can I get in your fridge or what?
Yeah. Can I pee here? And I'm like, I don't like the alternative.
Using your hand towels. You know, like, I think, and I'm not anti-bar, I'm not anti-restaurant, I'm not anti-whatever, but I guess that is the experiment. I'm pushing myself into places that it's different enough that it breaks all my, like, typical patterns and cycles. Where it's easy to just that's the design of modern life in America, is I can go to the same coffee shop in every town, because literally there's a Starbucks in every town. So I can walk in, I can say my order, it will taste the same, I'm out the door. And so to search for that weird stuff and that like non-processed, non-just homogenized version of the world it's more difficult. It's weird that it's more difficult to get fresh organic food than not. Yeah. Like one of them takes maybe more work in the sense of you got to care for it, but you don't have to have technology to have an apple, but like here we are, and now I have to have like apps to figure out if this thing saying it's organic is lying to me or what. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, like, it shouldn't be that hard to experience life where every store is different and everybody's hamburger tastes different and everybody's whatever it is.
Yeah. Have it be organic and natural and
like
real.
Some weird industrial person decided that they knew that everyone's afraid all the time and they can give you like a safe experience, and everybody just said, yeah, let's go. You could have murdered me last night.
I don't think I have the means, if I think about it. No, there's a nice knife set over there, but I definitely don't have it in me.
I don't want to get murdered, but it definitely is like, it's different even than crashing with a band.
Right.
Where you're like, there's 4 or 5 of us, this guy. There's been a few times where he showed up at our house and like the second the person who invited us over laid down, we were all like, we got to get the hell out of here.
To be fair, I half expected you to be gone when I woke up this morning.
Yeah. I need your help carrying the heavy stuff out.
Let's do this. I got one last question for you. Red Bull and NyQuil. Still fuck with that?
No. The combinations of chemicals have changed for sure. Yeah.
Well,
always experimenting.
Thank you so much for being here, Roddy. I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Guys, if you have a house that can host a show, get in touch with this guy. He'll throw the best fucking party you've ever had.
All right, man. Thanks for having me.
Let's get you loaded out.
Yeah.
That was part 2 of my interview with J Roddy Walston. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed talking to him. Make sure you check out what he has going on wherever you are. I know he's going to be in the Midwest for the next couple of weeks. Like I said, he's going to be throwing those pre-parties, so make sure you go check that out as well. And I highly encourage you to check out his band Pom Pom, which is a band we didn't talk about much, but that record's really great. I really love that band too. J Roddy Walston, check out his music. It's fantastic. I really appreciated him being here. I am going to switch things up a little bit. Next week, we're going to have Cole Taylor from Classic City Wrestling will be on the show. And before that, I'm going to do an episode about the scientific method and the history of that, where it came from, and whether or not it's actually how science is conducted. Stay tuned for that. Click that subscribe button. Check out Feddun.net. Check out jroddywalston.com. Thanks to Lee Baines for the inspiration for the title of this podcast. And if you want me to answer one of your questions on the podcast, send me an email at feddunxr@gmail.com. That's FEDDUNXR@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend.